How's it going, everybody? Katcha Outdoors back at you. We've had a lot of questions on our YouTube channel, a lot of comments asking, all kinds of different stuff. So we decided we're going to make a video and get through a bunch of those questions today. So we made a list of questions. We're going to go through them and answer as best we can. So here we go. Question number one.
So, what binoculars do you use?
We use Vortex.
Yeah.
So I have Vortex Vipers. What are they, 10 by 42s?
10 by 42s are like a basic platform you can run and gun with. You know, it's good because it fits in a chest rig and it's not like huge bulky. I would say if you were really planning on doing a lot of like sitting and glassing and you were going to be using binoculars for that, and that's a whole separate video.
The short answer is we use Vortex right now. I think we both looked at upgrading.
Yeah.
Not sure where we're going to go with that yet.
I'd love to run Swarovskis, as would everyone.
But our wives...
If you have the budget, get a Swarovski optic. They're great. Otherwise, I mean, Vortex has some great offerings. Leupold has great offerings. Really, the size is what, is critical. As large as you'd like, the larger the binocular, the better off you're going to be with seeing. But also, the smaller the binocular, it's going to be more comfortable, lighter weight if you're doing a lot of backpacking like we do. So we just run 10 by 42s, and then for long range stuff, we use a spotter.
I will say though, Vortex has a great warranty program. I had an issue with an iCup. I called them. They said send it in, so I sent it in. I think it was like a 2-week turnaround. They came back like brand new, no questions asked. So that was awesome.
So question number 2, what zone is this?
All right, so we get this question all the time with our hunting videos. People asking us what zone we're hunting. So there's kind of an unwritten rule when it comes to your hunting videos. You don't give up your spot. That's just is what it is. There's no rule that says you don't, but nobody does. We worked really hard to find spots. I will tell you that we've hunted A, B, C, and D in California, and we're trying to hunt X zones in the next few years. We've hunted it all. So
the zone is when you're coming out of the zone. So go there. It's great. But yeah, no. Do your research. The bottom line of it is, if you want to know about a good area, get your feet on the ground, do some Google Map stuff, figure out, look at habitat, see where, historically, do some research and figure out where historically, good deer have been taken. There's all kinds of statistics on the Department of Fish and Game. You can look at harvest rates, all that stuff. Just formulate a plan, go out there and do it.
And one thing I'll tell you about asking about zones, it can be really misleading because in every zone, there are good spots and there's a lot of bad spots, dead spots. So finding out the zone of a hunt, you kind of feel like you have some inside information, but in reality, you don't. Any zone you hunt, you can be successful. You put the work in scouting, you learn the tips and tricks, you just get out there, boots on the ground, you can be successful. So, yeah.
It's mystery zone. Do we have any tips for bow hunting A zone? Yes, don't do it. There's a lot to be said there. I would say that an A zone archery hunt on public land is probably one of the most difficult hunts for many reasons you can do in the state. That's because multiple reasons. One is it's uber hot. You're looking at July and it's in the hot areas of the state. So you're looking at 100 degrees plus into July, August, you're going to be hunting. Anywhere you go, you have to bring water with you, so it's heavy. It's very noisy. It's hard to stalk anything. There's low population densities in most of the areas, especially on public land. It's an extremely challenging hunt.
So the one tip we would say is, well, 2 tips. The 2 tips we'll tell you, though, is number 1, scout. There are deer in A zone. There are deer on public land. They're pressured. They are skittish. But there are deer on public land. Number 2 is utilize ambushing. So you're hunting in some of the thickest, nastiest, crunchiest, hottest stuff on the planet, it feels like when you're out there. Utilize ambushing. So find the water holes where they're going, find the trails, find the bedding areas, and just set up and wait and be patient.
Something we've noticed as well, when you do put in the time scouting, when you scout deer in A zone, especially in public land, most likely in public lands, anticipate where the deer are going to be when they get pressured. So wherever you're seeing them when you're scouting in May and June, expect them to be in a brushier, steeper part of the area adjacent to where you saw them in July and August because
Yeah.
that's where they're going to be, especially blacktail. As soon as there's any hunting pressure, that like internal clock kicks off. They know it's deer season. They head for the nasty, the thick and nasty. So that's where they're going to be.
Yeah. All right, next question. Hunting D3 through 5, and it's my first time out. Any tips?
Good luck. Hey, we're pretty cynical, but in reality, it's a challenging zone.
Yeah,
But the tips, and this is the same tip I would give you almost any other place you're going to hunt. It doesn't matter to the zone. It doesn't matter to the state. We've been to all kinds of different states, and this rule applies across the board. Go where people are not. If you find the roadless areas and the places that people aren't willing to go to and aren't willing to put the work in, there's going to be higher population densities, period. Almost all the time. Sometimes there's exceptions. If somewhere just got completely torched and the soil's garbage and there's no foliage and it's just totally abandoned, you're not going to find deer. But for by and large, less people, more wildlife. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. And scout.
Yeah.
Scouting is key no matter what zone you're in. Get out there and scout. You're not going to find out where the animals are if you're not there. So no matter how much e-scouting you do and looking at maps, that's part of it. But until you get boots on the ground, until you start glassing hillsides, you're just not going to know. So scout, scout, scout. All right, next question. What rifle do you recommend for a new hunter? So
Depends on the hunter.
it really does.
Depends on the game.
And it depends on what you want to hunt long term. If you're just hunting blacktails, you don't expect to make long shots. I mean, you can go something like a 270 and
Yeah.
be fine.
And a
but-
270 is actually a great round, has a great ballistic coefficient, all that good stuff. Throws a decent sized pill out there. So I would say if you're going to make a habit out of hunting elk, but you also want to hunt deer, and you're wanting cartridge that can do both of those things, large game, medium sized game, and you can even shoot coyotes and stuff. I shoot a 7mm Rem Mag for my main big game cartridge. He shoots a 300 Winchester Magnum.
Yeah.
So either one of those cartridges will do anything you need him to do in North America.
Anything from a deer to an elk, you'll be fine.
You'll have to learn if you're a really small frame person or really susceptible to recoil issues, and recoil is a big deal with you. I would advise maybe stepping it down to like a 6.5 Creedmoor, or there's a new cartridge just hitting the market. It's going to be super awesome. It's called a 6.8 Western. Check it out because that's going to be a great cartridge alternative for a lot of big game hunters. But you go with something a little bit smaller, 270. You can still kill an elk with the 270. It's just you got to be closer and have better shot placement. So, but yeah. Any of the Magnum, 7mm, 300, those rounds you'll do everything with them.
Yeah.
What advice or experience do you have for SoCal D16?
None.
Zero. No experience. I've heard hearsay here and there about it, but not enough to even speculate on video because my opinions are worthless. So, nothing. We don't hunt down there. We're Northern California hunters.
But we'll refer you back to 2 questions ago. Scout.
Yeah.
That's what we can tell you. Get out and scout.
It's going to be the same anywhere else. Get away from people and scout ahead of time to locate the animals. Okay, so this question is, how far will bucks travel during the day or, say, over the period of a month? Really depends on the region, too.
That's a good question.
Depends on the region, depends on the buck, depends on the time of year. If it's a migratory animal and it's migration season, they'll go a heck of a long ways. I mean, they'll go miles and miles, in a month. Depending on where their wintering and summering habitats are. If it's just a resident deer that lives, like you're talking about A-zone, that you got, mild conditions all year round, they're going to stay in the same spot. A deer will live in 2 square miles and they'll never go out of there.
A deer will only travel as necessary for what its needs are. So in certain times of the year, those needs are just food and water and shelter. So they're going to travel as little as possible to get to their food, their water, their shelter. Then you get into the rut, and they're going to travel for the rut, sometimes large areas to find does. Then you get the migratory season, and they'll travel miles and miles and miles to get to their winter grounds.
If you bust a buck, they're generally going to go until they feel safe or somewhere that they know is away from the threat. Most times of the year, that's like, a quarter mile to a half mile, depending on the deer. And then they're just going to kind of loop around and then start feeding again. That's my experience anyway. I've seen them do that. And then a lot of times you can put a play on them again. But like I said, it depends on the country. If it's a rutting buck and you bust him, he might go, you know, 3 mountain ranges over and find more doe somewhere else or something. Or he might just circle right around and be in the same canyon 10 minutes later.
It really is variable.
It's so varied.
I think a year before last, we were hunting in A-zone, and it was kind of rolling hills, a lot of wide open spaces with oaks, and we busted a couple of bucks in a little draw, and they ran over the hill, back down the other side, as the crow flies, 400 yards maybe, but they just felt protected enough just on the other side of that hill. So we were able to drop down the draw, pop up the other side, and they were right down there. So it really is a variable.
It also depends on how much human interaction they get. It depends on if they smell you or not. If the deer smells you,
it's over.
Probably kiss them goodbye.
Yeah.
But if you just spook them and they don't know what happened or whatever, you can probably catch back up to them. So this question is, what zones do you normally hunt? We kind of just covered that.
Yeah. We hunt A, B, C, D, and X.
Yep.
There you go.
That's truly, those are the zones we hunt. We're not lying at all.
No, actually, so a little backstory. I grew up hunting C zones with my dad, specifically C4. Every year we would hunt that zone. So I knew the area really well. I haven't hunted it. I think I've hunted it once or twice in the last several years. It's been a while. I want to get back there soon. I have hunted D zone quite a bit. We've hunted A zone. We've been all over the place.
Yeah.
We really try to hit a lot of different areas. It's not just one spot. So,
what tripod and attachments do you recommend? This is kind of your wheelhouse, but we use a lot. What's that, Vanguard?
Yeah, we have Vanguard. We use was it Suru or oh, gosh, I can't remember the name.
We know our equipment really well.
Really, that's a tough question to answer. You need to just find what works for you. So go to a Sportsman's Warehouse, Bass Pro, and just pick them up and handle them. You need to find, okay, a couple important things about tripods. It's not so much about who makes them, it's about what works for you and what you like. So there's different leg, the tension enclosures. So there's this, the buckle, kind of the buckle, it pops open, pops closed. And then there's the screw to tighten. I much prefer the buckle, the quick release.
Yeah, cam action.
Yeah, when you're in the field and you want to drop those tripod legs quickly, you're looking at an animal, it's on the move, trying to screw all the legs down, it's really annoying. So, and also, aluminum versus carbon. Carbon's much more expensive.
It's your budget. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really your budget, but if you're really going lightweight, carbon's a really nice option.
Yeah. I would say with tripods and tripod accessories, buy as expensive as your budget allows. We don't have super expensive stuff because we're not super rich guys, but we have decent stuff and we figured out kind of what works for us. Also a consideration if you're filming off of a tripod, especially long range filming, phone scope doing a lot of that stuff, or you have a camera with a big lens, you probably already know at that point, you need a really smooth tripod head.
Yeah.
So that's something you're just going to need to invest in. But by and large, for glassing and stuff, you know, $100 tripod is going to serve you well.
Yeah.
You know?
So somebody asked, do you have any nights in the quilt? I did a video where I talked about my quilt that I use instead of a sleeping bag. Question is, do you have any nights in the quilt? Curious how the huge quilt works. So I would say the quilt is great for early to mid-season if it's not too cold. It's super light, and you can cram that thing down in the smallest crevice in your backpack. It's big, and you can, like I said, you can cram it down in your backpack, but it's not going to be your cold weather solution. You'll still need a bag for that. I love it for warm weather hunts. It's a lot less bulky. It's easy to maneuver. I can just cram it anywhere in my pack, and it's really comfortable. It's really soft. And I bought it from Zen Bivy, so you can check them out. Somebody asked, bruh, are you all hunting on mushrooms? Who knows?
Maybe portobellos.
So,
I do like a good mushroom, but not that kind of mushroom.
we did that was on a pig hunt we did a couple years ago, and it was kind of like the Wild West. I could see why someone would ask that.
Hey, I happened to be the shooter. I happened to miss like 7 times in a row. We were honestly, it was on a ranch where like pig control was kind of the thing going on, and we weren't necessarily like on some intense hunt.
Yeah.
It was more like if you see pigs, shoot them. We were out there, we were shooting at this pig, he was running across the hill.
And to be fair, you had never shot the gun before.
Yeah.
Just grabbed it. Hey, there's a pig. Pop, 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 and yeah.
One of those deals.
Yeah.
I didn't kill him.
But no, we don't hunt on mushrooms, and we don't recommend it. Been trying to get a pig for about a month now. Any locations y'all know of?
The wilderness.
Petting zoos.
Yeah, so California has quite a few pigs in some areas, but it's not like overrun like a lot of the southern
especially
states.
on public land. They're hard to find on public land.
They're actually pretty stinking elusive.
They really are.
They depends on where you're at. Private lands, like you said, private lands are less pressured, so they'll just be kind of running around. But if you're trying to find them on public land, really, I mean, I would say look up some areas down further south, San Luis Obispo, like Coalinga area, some public lands down there. That's about as much as I'll say. But there's more pigs down there at higher density. But up in Northern California, there's a lot of pigs on private land, but I don't know, public places.
And a lot of times they're just nocturnal. We've hunted some pigs recently on private land, and they were strictly nocturnal, so we never had an opportunity. We had them on cameras like almost every night, but only at night. So, and then when they go to bed, you can't find them. Good luck. So,
yeah, they're underneath a bush. They're like a part of the route.
So they're a tough hunt. So, not to discourage you from hunting pigs, but you're gonna have to put the work in. It's not easy. All right, so we have a long question. Hey, this video is so helpful. Cool, thanks for that. Thanks so much. I had a couple questions for you. I have a couple spots e-scouted. I live abroad, so scouting preseason isn't possible. That's a tough one. Do you think it's better to move into these areas and set up camp so as to be in place when first light hits, or hike in before dawn? Also, I saw in the thumbnail for the video a picture of your Jeep. Are you pretty happy with that as a hunting vehicle? I'm moving back soon and considering which car to get. Ideally something well suited for the fire roads. Thanks. Well, part one. Move into these areas and set up camp, or hike in before dawn. Hike in before dawn. So if you move in and you've never been there before, you don't know what you're going to bump. It's kind of the approach of you're hunt scouting. Yeah. So you're scouting while you're hunting and hunting while you're scouting. That's what you're going to have to do.
And even honestly, I would even say like, be careful hiking in before dawn. It would be like you're going to lose that first day of hunting. But just figure it a scouting day and you got your rifle or bow for any bonus shots that come up. So as far as the Jeep goes, I would say if I did it over again, which I don't have the Jeep anymore, so maybe that tells you something, I would pass on it. There's just not a lot of storage space in the back for gear. You put a couple coolers in there, the thing's totally packed out. It'll get anywhere you want to go, but long story short, I would say a pickup is a better option.
Yeah. What part of California do you guys live in, and do you also hunt other states? So we're both in Northern California. I'm in the Sacramento area. You're what?
I'm in Vacaville. And we hunt, yes, we do hunt other states.
Yeah.
Colorado, Idaho, any other state that has animals that we like, we'll go there and hunt them.
Yeah. Might even do some whitetail hunting in the south this year, so stay tuned for that. When is archery season in California? So archery season starts with A-zone in mid-July. Most of the rest of the other archery zones open in mid-August.
Yeah, so, like some of them closer to the beginning, but yeah, you're looking at like middle toward the end of July through the beginning of August, and then most of archery season's taken off by then. So
yeah, and they usually are over by what, mid-September,
which I think is kind of crazy. Honestly, it's so hot.
It's very hot.
I wish it bumped everything back a few weeks.
Yeah.
Hello, I wanted to start hunting. Seems like a great hobby. I'm from San Diego and don't know how to get started. Any advice or tips? Move out of San Diego, and then
that's a big question to answer. It's like anything else. You're gonna get out what you put in. So hunting is probably not something you just jump right into and get good at in a few months. It's a lifetime. We're still learning. We've been hunting our whole lives, and we're still learning stuff.
I would say important to find a mentor or someone who's been hunting for a long time.
Yeah.
And because they're going to have extra equipment, they're going to know some spots, they're going to know some skills, and be able to share that with you. So I would say try to find someone who's a hunter and get hooked up with them and have them take you out a little bit. And then you don't have to invest in all the gear right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You know, people think that they're going to start a hobby, they need to buy $5,000 worth of equipment. Like, get the essentials, do some day hunts first. Don't try to do some long backpacking trip. Do a couple day hunts. In some places you can do some hiking around. You really don't need much. A small backpack, some snacks and stuff, and a rifle or a bow and some, that's it.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your hunter safety course done. That'll teach you like the bare minimums of safety, how to act in the field with a firearm, weapon, the rules and regulations. Read that handbook. yeah, it's probably a little boring. You want to get out there in the field, but it's important information you need to have.
Yeah.
So do that. That's your first step. And then, like Ben said, don't jump into buying all the gear. Just get out in the field, test what you have, or buy just the bare necessities, and just start learning. Read every book you can, watch every video you can. There's a wealth of knowledge to be gained with that.
Make sure you always practice good safety and follow up and figure out any local laws and regulations that are in the area you plan on going to. First off, make sure you're on legal land. If it's private land or public land, you either got to have permission, or the public land has to be huntable public land. Not all public land you can just go hunt. So anyway, it's totally a separate topic, but make sure what you're doing is legal and safe, and then have fun.
And that's it. I think there's a few more questions out there, but maybe we'll make another video in the future. If you have more questions and we didn't answer them in this one, leave a comment below. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll make another video and answer any questions we can. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We have some cool stuff coming, and we'll see you on the next video.